Welcome to On Rails, the podcast where we dig into the technical decisions behind building and maintaining production Ruby on Rails apps. I'm your host, Robby Russell, and I run Planet Argon. For over 21 years, we've helped teams maintain and evolve long-lived Rails apps, so I tend to approach these conversations through that lens. In this episode, I'm joined by Aaron Patterson, also known online as Tenderlove. Aaron is a senior staff engineer at Shopify and a longtime contributor to both Ruby and Rails core. He's spent years helping improve performance, tooling, and developer experience across the Ruby ecosystem. Recently, he's been exploring faster gem installs, higher performance FFI, whatever that is, and other low-level improvements that many Rails developers may already be benefiting, even if they don't fully realize it yet. Aaron joins us from Seattle, Washington in the United States. All right, check for your belongings. All aboard. Aaron Patterson, welcome to On Rails.
Hi, Robby. Thanks for having me.
So good to get to catch up with you again. So Aaron, let's start with this. What keeps you on Rails after all these years?
What keeps me on Rails? It's a very good question.
Thanks.
I would have to say that my significant other keeps me grounded. She keeps me on the rails. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not kidding about that. But to answer the question seriously, I've been using Rails for like many years. And the thing that keeps me on it is, first off, it's the easiest way to build a website, like get something done, get an app built. Like still, it is the easiest way. But the other thing that I really like about using Rails is that it keeps up with advancements in web technologies and stuff. So it's not like there was like, oh, we just made this one framework and then it just like stuck there and then now we're forever ever done with that. That's just not the case with Rails. We're keeping up with all the latest web technologies and stuff and still making it easy, even for someone like me.
Tell me more.
I am not good at building websites at all.
So, and Rails makes it really easy for even knuckleheads like you.
Yes, exactly.
All right, that's great. Well, I mean, I know that you're a very sophisticated software developer. So out of curiosity, how did you get into building web apps in the first place?
Oh, in the very first place? Like from the very beginning, forever and ever ago.
Sure.
I just got a job, dude. Like, this is in 1999 was my first web job. It wasn't on Rails though. And I needed a job out of high school and a friend of mine was working at funny enough a car dealership and was like, our car dealership needs a website. Can you help with it? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Was any of that dynamic or is that all pretty much static site spec at that point?
No, it was dynamic. Like I had to do JavaScript programming then. So like I was doing JavaScript programming in like, I don't know, 1999, 2000. It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what other tech stacks were involved in that? Where is that like pushing out through? And if this is going down like a rabbit hole that you don't want to, you would like to forget and compartmentalize that part of your life.
It's good to know where we've come from, so we know where we're going. Something like that. It was all just CGI scripts, like Perl CGI with JavaScript, and I don't know that I ever deployed the website, but if I remember correctly, it was basically just like FTP it to a thing and run it.
It's like a CGI bin directory or something.
Yep, exactly.
Sounds familiar. And then maybe some Apache in front of that or something.
Yes, I don't even know it. Like, I think we used CVS at the time was our version control system. But I mean, I only worked at that job for like maybe a year-ish. So
fast forward to somehow between then and getting acclimated or introduced to Ruby and Ruby on Rails was your introduction into Ruby and Ruby on Rails website development at that point then?
Yeah. So like, I mean, since then I just always done web development. Like it started off as a job and then it turned into a career, I guess. I'm not sure when that happens, like when you go from job to career something, but
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Maybe it's still just a job. I don't know. Anyway, I was just a web developer ever since then. And then I learned about Ruby and Ruby on Rails I learned about Ruby on Rails from the original like build a blog thing that David did. And That was like, whoa. But I was doing Ruby before that, not as a
Okay.
not as a job though, just as like as a hobby project or hobby programming. And then when I saw Ruby on Rails, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is what I got to do.
Earlier on, you touched on like that is still one of the easiest ways, in your opinion, to build web apps and websites. How is your perspective on what developer experience looks like earlier on back then versus where we're at now with web development? And I don't know if you've actually spend much time working with other tech stacks very often or get exposed to them. So are you super biased because you're in this bubble, or?
Of course I'm absolutely like, I am absolutely super biased. Like I can't say that I only really work in Ruby and Ruby on Rails. So I'm not sure. I know like PHP has made a lot of changes recently and improved a lot of stuff. I don't think like Node was very popular for, I mean, I guess it's still popular. I don't know. But like I looked into building a website, or I looked into building apps with Node, and it's like, no, like this is not the same. The ergonomics are absolutely not the same. I tried out Django a couple years. Actually, this is funny. The first time I tried out Django was at Rails World.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give Django a try, and so I tried it, and it was nice, but like it didn't seem to have all the same features that we have. Like it just didn't have all the same bells and whistles included. So I really don't want to pick these things. Like I said, I'm a bad web developer. I really want somebody to just tell me like, no, this is what you got to do.
Sure. For those listening, I mentioned in the intro, but you work at Shopify.
Yes.
So from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like you probably spend a lot of time working directly on the web apps themselves, though, right?
No.
What does your typical day-to-day look like for you now?
So I'm on I'm not sure what to call it exactly. I'm on the Ruby infrastructure team, and we focus mainly on Ruby interpreter itself. So currently we're working on a JIT compiler. I'm working mostly on JIT compiler. And then we're also working on concurrency and garbage collection. So we're improving concurrency and parallelism, GC, as well as JIT compilation. So that's what our team is mostly focused on.
For me, the village idiot trying to ask the best questions about some of these things on behalf of listeners that might be like, I hear these words or things that come up, like what is, JIT compiler? What are Ractors?
Mm-hmm.
What is Aaron actually talking about up there? Because as a web developer, when do I potentially need to invoke some of these tools? Are these helping more so on running Shopify in production, or is actually a lot of this actually helping just developer ergonomics and experience when you're locally developing and working on your application?
Well, if we're doing it correctly, it should help everybody regardless. I love working on performance. I also love refactoring code. I love working on internals, things like that. But my favorite thing to do is if I can make a system better and nobody notices. I mean, they notice that it's better, but like you upgrade your application, you didn't touch anything, and it's just faster and better, right? Like if you break an API, everybody complains about that. But if you like make an app faster, and zero people complain about that. Like nobody's like, oh my goodness, this is too fast.
Do you think there's something about those types of problems? Does it kind of feed a part of your brain in the sense that those are tangible measurables that you can do? Like whereas you're working on a web app and you're like, we're going to add a couple new features and maybe we're improving our conversions or more signups or retention. Those data points can maybe feel a little bit more abstract, where you might get the endorphin kick of like, look, it's faster by 3%.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I do like the number. I do like being able to see the numbers and be like, we made the graph go down or up or whatever the good direction is, because there's always a good direction. That's exciting, but I think what's more exciting for me is like the problem solving aspect of it, because the goal is to make an app better without changing the app at all. So you don't know, like it's these constraints that I have to work within. It's like, okay, we're constrained to break 0 people's code and yet somehow improve performance with that thing. So how do we do that? And that's, I think, a really exciting, I mean, for me,
Sure.
For me, it's exciting and fun to work on.
Well, what sort of things have you been working on more recently? And what types of bottlenecks typically show up in the Shopify scale?
I mean, we have so much code that any and every bottleneck can show up.
Huh.
Like there's no one. I mean, we have memory constraints, we have performance constraints. I think like if you think about it from a big picture, our team's mandate is basically to be able make our applications utilize our infrastructure better. So better utilization of our production machines is essentially our mandate, which is a pretty vague, like a vague goal.
Sure.
But it's kind of what our mandate is. So we say like, hey, well, we want to send more requests to a particular machine. Like we need to fit more requests on a particular machine. How do we do, like, what do we need to do that? Like, how do we scale the application to do that? It's not really a bottleneck. It's more like architectural problems and then like how to solve that particular problem. So we're looking at the web server, GC. Actually, let me spell out the big picture for you. So we're looking at Ractors as multi-core utilization. So how do we use all CPUs on the machine? How do we decrease memory? That's where the garbage collector fits in. And then when we have code running on one particular core, how do we make that code run as fast as possible on that one particular core? And that's where the JIT compiler fits in.
I see. So, okay, so it's coming from all these different perspectives. So it's not necessarily these are things that developers are needing to refactor some parts of their Rails app itself to take advantage of these features that we've been adding to Ruby? Or are there actual scenarios where those things could come into play?
That's a really good question. There's always, and I think there's always like a tension kind of. So one thing, I mean, there's some things that do need to change. So for example, Ractors is a new type of, actually it's not that new. It's been around for quite a while. Just nobody used it. So Ractors are like threads, except they run truly in parallel. So if you have two Ractors, they're really using two different cores. Whereas people probably remember like previously, if you use threads, you're still stuck on one core. It doesn't matter how many threads you use, you're still only utilizing one core. So Ractors let us truly use multiple cores in parallel. But nobody really used them because they crashed a lot. And also, like, it was really funny. For some workloads, they were actually slower. Like quite a while ago, somebody reported a bug. They're like, hey, like if I process JSON, like all I'm doing is processing JSON documents. If I'm parsing some JSON and I do it serially, that's faster than if I try to do it in parallel with Ractors. So if I try to do it in parallel with Ractors, it's slower, which is like clearly bad. So we worked on fixing, like we've been working on fixing those types of things. So those are places where your app might need to change, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's just a web server. So you install a new web server and now all of a sudden you have multi-core utilization.
Using that JSON example, is like just break that down a little bit more. Like if that's someone like just running like one of the methods on the JSON library, and then be like parse this, or does that already in Ruby get split up into multiple processes and chunk it up or something? Or is it just one
thing? It depends on how you write it. So like imagine you were doing it with threads, you might have like a queue of JSON documents that you want to parse. So you've got a bunch of threads that are popping off of that queue. It's the same deal with Ractors. You may have a bunch of Ractors that are just popping off of the queue and then processing, like parsing the JSON. So the bug that the person reported was like, hey, if I do this one at a time, it's actually faster than trying to do it like pop off a queue and do it multi-core with Ractors. And like one of the things our team has really been focusing on is making sure that Ractors are fast and usable. Like I highly recommend people start using Ractors, especially with Ruby 4.0. They're fast now and you can do things in parallel with them.
Can you think of some examples, maybe aside from the JSON one, where someone with a typical Rails app, maybe is this more like on maybe a background job type of scenario where you have like a tip thing versus would you use that in a standard web request response cycle?
Yeah, really great question. I recommend that you just never use it in a request response cycle. Like I don't expect anybody to be, I think like, when I'm thinking about web applications, I think it should be very uncommon for somebody to write like Ractor.new or thread.new inside of their controller or view or whatever, or even your model, because typically you're just like processing some data, sending it to a view, getting the response, sending that off to somebody. There's nothing like necessarily that you're doing in parallel in that case. And one thing I would recommend, like if you're using Rails and Active Record, you should be using the async queries with Active Record. You can get async queries already, and it'll do that stuff in the background for you. So you're never actually typing thread.new in your app. Where I do see somebody typing like Ractor.new, for example, or thread.new would be background jobs. But even then is like the background job processor would already be doing, like implementing that. One really good use case I can see for Ractors is OpenTelemetry, where you're getting a bunch of statistics about your application and then trying to log those statistics somewhere. A bummer about OTel is that like you'll try to log stuff and it'll happen in a background thread, and it's a thread.new thread. And because of that, your app will actually stall when the thread is executing. Because remember, you can only use only one thread can use a CPU at a time. So in that case, you would want to be using a Ractor. But
Interesting.
But again, you're not typing Ractor.new in your app. Like that's just, you don't.
So it's pretty rare that a developer would need to do that. Is Ractor something that's found in other programming languages?
I think probably the closest analogy might be Erlang or Elixir. It's basically a message passing system, just like Elixir. I think that's the closest thing.
And what kind of messages, for the dumb idiot question, what kind of messages are they passing between them? It's just
really anything that you want to. So like anything you'd queue up for processing in parallel, any type of producer consumer pattern that you might have. For example, like maybe you're taking a bunch of JSON documents and you need to parse them in parallel. I don't know.
Is there a lot of Ractor.new in Rails codebase itself?
No. One of the things that our team is working on is making Rails Ractor safe. That's one of the projects that we have in flight at the moment. We want to make it so that you can create a new Rails app, or the current goal is you'll be able to do Rails.new and then run that app inside of a Ractor-based web server. So you'll have a Ractor-based web server with your app running, the new Rails app running inside of it. And what that buys you is you can have one process, which is your web server process, using all, 16 cores, however many cores you have on the machine.
Is that then something like in a Puma or something that you would be configuring the number of CPUs to be using in that scenario, or is it just automatically figure that out?
I think we can automatically figure it out, but you could also specify too, like if you didn't want to use all of them for some reason.
What does that actually end up looking like on the server that's running it? Is it running just one Ruby process at that point? Yes. Versus like you might have 8 or 16 historically in running on your server?
Yep. So like right now, today, like if you're running, any web server really, if you want to have multi-core parallelism, you have to be running multi-process. This is true for any web server today. So like if you have 20 cores, you need to be running 20 Ruby processes. Whereas with a Ractor-based web server, you run one process and you can use all 20 cores at the same time.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. How did you find yourself into working on these types of performance type problems?
These particular ones, I'd say that they're really, really driven by the needs we have at work, pretty much.
Can someone make this better, please? And
yes.
Someone nominated you?
Yeah.
Or you raised your hand?
Like pretty much. Like, I have an idea. Like, okay, you have to do it now. Like, okay,
you own that now.
Great.
How many people are you typically collaborating with right now on these types of projects?
Oh my gosh.
Like approximation.
That's a good question. I think our team's something like 40 people. Something like that. It's a lot of people. And that's not counting like infrastructure people I got to work with, because our team is really focused on Ruby and Rails internals as well as developer productivity. But that's like just those things. I mean, I got to work with infrastructure folks and app developers, like a whole bunch of different people because of this particular work. The infrastructure folks really want a Ractor-based web server because it simplifies their deployment strategies. So that's like that aspect of that. But then we have issues like, oh, we want to test Ruby, Edge Ruby. So we're always testing with Edge Ruby. And sometimes I have to work with application developers because they might write code that doesn't work with Edge Ruby. And so I gotta get that fixed. So there's those folks as well.
Interesting. So about 40 people. And is that something, are you typically like in your role on call to some degree? Do you get called in very often for weird, quirky things, or is it pretty manageable in a typical 9 to 5?
I'd say it's fairly manageable. I mean, we have an on-call rotation. We have to be very confident that it actually works before we put it into production. If there's any failures, it's going to fail like now, right?
Yeah, that's fair. And I guess part of that is because the shape or the type of business that Shopify is, there's constantly transactions happening. So like I would imagine that things would happen pretty quickly if there was something broken.
Yes. We also have really nice, really nice ways to test. One of our applications is a read-only app. One thing we do is we deploy our own custom version, or like our team's custom version of that app, and then we run traffic through it. And since we know it's read-only, we know it's not going to impact any customers or anything. So we have a really good way of testing.
Interesting. Can you share or speak a little bit to what that read-only app does there?
Yeah, it's called SFR. It stands for storefront renderer. It just renders all of our storefronts.
Oh. So and then everything else is separate, different services.
Yes.
Or something, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So if my commit goods shop is being rendered through that, then
no. What we do is we replay traffic on this thing. So real production traffic will always be hitting our normal production servers, but we'll replay traffic. We call it shadow traffic. We'll replay traffic through our experimental one. And we can even do stuff like compare the output of the experimental one to the known correct one, so we can make sure that everything is working properly.
How different is that from like a QA workflow then? And is that like an automated QA type thing, or just being able to have that replay everything?
It's basically the same. I mean, we can do this for any reason we want to. It doesn't have to be Ruby changes or Rails changes. Like people can just do it. They're like, well, I changed, I don't know, something that's risky. And they want to have like an extra layer of protection besides just tests.
Is that just running on some like internal servers that your team has access to that it's playing there? Or are people actually logging in and clicking? Or is it just like some magic, or you don't know? We just know that we deploy over here and some magic happens.
Yes.
Okay. It's nice to have magic.
Yes.
Are you often then needing to load up the Rails apps themselves very often in your like local development environment? Or
not very often, but we do it for testing, of course. We're not loading the app to do development work on it necessarily, but we're testing JIT compiler with it, testing GC, testing parallelism, different stuff. But it's pretty rare because we have to do like a lot of development work on the JIT compiler before we even get to the point where it's like, let's test our real application, right?
And is it as simple as like running your test suite locally in that type of scenario? Or
yeah, I mean, it depends on it depends on what we're testing, and it depends on the problem. But yeah, pretty much. So like our development environments are very, very automated, I guess. So like there's a lot of developers at Shopify, and we have very good tools to ensure that their development environments are well set up nicely, so they're not like running into any problems.
They're not needing to debug the bin setup script every time.
Yeah, exactly. So an issue with that is unique to our team is that since we're working on Ruby itself, we have to start mucking with like internal stuff.
I see.
So that's like kind of a challenge, and it's fine, but like, that's what we do for a living.
Yeah.
So
yeah. For those listening, like not everybody works on at an organization as large as something like Shopify, where they have access to teams that are doing these types of things. But I think it's always interesting to get a sense of like how those large organizations can spend time to invest on that. Do you feel like there are many tools that you've been able to open source that speak to the kind of developer experience of just the local environment developer perspective? Or
I have no idea.
Okay, great.
I have no idea. Whole different team, a whole different department, dude.
Different team. Not my problem.
Yeah,
That's someone else's.
I mean, if they open sources, that's great. Because honestly, like the way that it sets up our development environments is like
pretty major.
It's great. Like if you're just doing like normal app development stuff, it does everything for you. Sets it all up for you. Like, okay.
This episode is sponsored by Gemshine, a gem polishing and resetting service. Got gems that are dull, scratched, not catching the light like they used to? Gemshine restores brilliance. Clean, cut, polish. Then we reset your gem into a fresh piece of jewelry. A new ring, a new pendant, a whole new you. Wait, oh no. No. I think they mean actual gems, like jewelry gems for jewelry. Like these are not Ruby gems? Oh my God, what have I done? Robby, I read this like this was for Rails developers, like polish your gems, but not reset them into new jewelry. And now I'm picturing someone mailing a gem file to a jeweler. No, please do not do that. But if you're a jeweler, hobbyist, maybe Gemshine sounds kind of incredible. But if you're a Rails developer, please just ignore this. I have a few calls to make.
Sponsored message was read. Obligation was technically fulfilled. Host did not verify the audience. Host is now aware. Host deeply regrets this.
Gemshine. How often do you feel like you run like Rails new?
Not as often as I should. But when I run Rails new, I'm mainly just testing Rails itself, right? I'm not making a new app. I can't remember the last time that I ran Rails new to make a new app. For real, like that's not like a me mucking around thing. You know what I mean? Like
more recently, you started a Django app more recently.
Oh no! Are you kidding? I make many, like I do Rails new many times. It's just that it's always like test app 1, test app 2,
yeah,
test app 3.
What is the best database in the world, Aaron? Can you answer the question?
What is the best database in the world? Nobody's ever asked me that. I mean, how do you quantify best?
I don't know.
I like SQLite a lot.
It's convenient.
Yeah, convenient, easy to use, deployed everywhere. It's great. I like PG. You know what we should do? We should do like a tier list, and I would put SQLite at S class. It is an S class database. I would put Postgres at like A class, A tier database. Well, it's got cool features though. MySQL, that's gonna have to be a B. I don't hate it, but it's got like weird quirks. So yeah.
Do you feel like that rings true now? I mean, I feel like 20 years ago, if you would ask me, I'm like, oh, MySQL has all these weird issues with data validation, but still became like the default in Rails. And I can disagree with DHH about that all we want, but I think, do you feel like a lot of those quirks still ring true in the MySQL world, or do you feel like maybe you're a little disconnected?
Disconnected, dude. No idea. I have no idea. Use MySQL at work. I mean, I used it at GitHub. It's fine. Like, I don't have any complaints, man. They're all good.
Why such tiny hands? I'm asking on behalf of our audience. Someone said that should be a question I should ask.
That is a great question. I should have some on my desk, but I don't. I don't know. I thought they were funny, and I was like, I gotta get these, and then pet my cat with it, and then I gotta take photos with them so that everything. I like taking forced perspective photos with them and then posting them online, and I'll be like, oh, this tomato is huge, and then it's like but the thing is, whenever I do that, it's truly because like one time I found like a giant onion at the grocery store. It's like huge onion. I bought it and I'm like, this onion's huge, and then I put the little finger next to it, or the little hand next to it, and it's truly a large onion, but the hand is also tiny. And then people are like, oh, it's just a normal size onion.
No, it's
actually big.
Thanks for digging into that with us. Someone suggested that I ask you that question.
I got to hand it to you, or hand it to them.
Thanks. Yeah. So when you think about, type of work you do with performance and things in the Ruby ecosystem, so what types of friction things do you feel like in the Ruby ecosystem on a technical level have been bothering you lately?
It's really weird. Like, since I work on Edge Ruby a lot, I encounter a lot of problems where I'm like, is this just a me problem, or is this like a problem that everybody has? You know what I mean? Because like you're running Edge Ruby and maybe something changed in it. And not all the gems in the ecosystem know about Edge Ruby. How would they? So like I get all these weird problems. One of the things I've really cared about recently is like how quickly can you make a new Rails application? Like when you do Rails new, like how fast? How fast is it from zero to Rails app? That's something that I've been really interested in lately. It's important to me because the faster you can make a new Rails app, I think more people will be using Rails. I mean, Robby, we live in like the TikTok culture. I mean, you got to be able to install, or otherwise somebody's going to scroll. You know what I mean? So looking at things like that, that's one of the things that's really been interesting me lately.
What types of steps go into that? Is it, when you run a Rails new, you've already installed the Rails gem, correct? So is that installing other additional steps at that point?
Yeah. So
what about even the process of even having to install I mean, in an ideal world, from my perspective as a developer, I'm like, you have to install Ruby.
Yep.
Then you got to install Bundler. Or does that come with it now? I forget. And then there's multiple steps involved as a developer before you can even get to the point of running Rails new. And then potentially have to then install more things at that point. So what can we do about that?
Yes. Let's say you're zero. You got nothing right now. You got to install
brand new laptop.
Yeah, brand new laptop. You got to install Ruby, of course. And then maybe if you're compiling Ruby, you got to install the dependencies too. So maybe that means you need to install like, I don't know, some Mies.
OpenSSL.
Oh yeah, exactly. OpenSSL. But I think typically people are using stuff like Mies or I don't know. I use Cheruby or Ruby install or whatever.
RBMV.
Yes, and like you got to get Ruby installed, and then once you do that, you got to do gem install Rails, and then once you do that, you got to do Rails new, and once you do Rails new, it's got to do a bundle install. So you're spending like all this time installing crap, and I think like one of the things we can do to speed up the process is providing binary versions of Ruby, which I think Mies is already doing. Though, as I said, like since I'm working on Edge all the time, it doesn't help me. Because I got to compile I have to compile mine all the time. But that's very helpful. Another thing is we depend on a lot of when I say we, I'm talking about Rails. It depends on a lot of binary or not binary gems, C like native extensions. And if we can get those distributed as binary gems, I think it would be very, very helpful. One of my colleagues, Edward, has been doing a lot of good work on that, like delivering that specifically. And he gave a presentation about it at RubyKaigi, and I don't remember what the percentage decrease was, but it's enormous. Like if you can provide all the gems as binary gems, installation speeds are like, I don't know, a second, 2 seconds, something like that. So
wow.
I'm hoping that we can have that in our future.
For those listening, why has that not always been how that would be done? Like what sort of obstacles would have prevented that in the past? And is the tooling and stacks and the hardware we have that much different than we did 10, 15 years ago?
No, it's just, I think like, there are a few things that get in the way. Boy, I'm trying to think. There's a lot of aspects to this problem. Like in the past, I think we just didn't depend on that many native extensions. So it wasn't as big a deal.
We can wait for Nokogiri to do his thing.
Yeah. People like, so that's the thing. You remember Nokogiri? Remember Nokogiri installations? Yeah. Who wrote that anyway?
Yeah.
Who was that guy? And like Mike did very hard work to start distributing like binary versions of Nokogiri, and then all of a sudden installation speeds got way better. There are a few hurdles that we have to overcome in order to have binary gems like that. One is starting with Ruby itself. When you compile Ruby, it adds a bunch of stuff baked in that has absolute paths baked into the binary. So like let's say you compile Ruby and install it into /foo. You can't just move it to /bar and have it work all the time. Like it'll work sometimes, but not all the time. And this is obviously a problem, like because like your username on your computer is probably different than my username on my computer. So when you if you install a binary version of Ruby, it needs to work in both scenarios, which I think Mies is dealt with, but I'm not sure. I don't know how exactly. But that's one problem. Another problem is, I'm sorry, Robby, we're going to get into the weeds here.
Let's do it.
Ready?
Let's get into the weeds.
Okay, we're going to get into the weeds. So, when you install a gem, the gem name, like the file name itself, so we're going to pretend we're installing Nokogiri, the binary version. It's going to be Nokogiri. The name of the .gem file itself is going to be Nokogiri dash the version number dash some platform. So let's say we're on Linux. On an x86, it's going to be x86 Linux. Okay.
Yep.
Now, the problem is that the precompiled gem, like the SO file inside of the .gem file, that has to be linked against a particular version of Ruby. So like maybe it's linked against Ruby 3.4. But you want that gem to work on 3.4, 4.0, various versions of Ruby. So how do you accomplish this? And remember, you only get to download that one file. So how do you do this? The way that people do it is through a technique called fat binary. And what they do is they'll compile Nokogiri, and the Nokogiri gem file will actually contain multiple SO files, one for each version of Ruby that it supports. So if you support, 4.0, 3.4, and 3.3, if you go unpack that gem, there will be 3 SO files inside of the gem file itself. And then when you require Nokogiri, there's some Ruby code inside of that that looks at the version you're on, and then it goes and requires the correct SO file depending on what version of Ruby that you're on. So this is a bummer because it means the gem files are larger. You had to ship like a bunch of different SO files. That's one problem. So this impacts installation time because you have to download all that. And if you're on Ruby 3.4, you got to download the binaries for Ruby 4.0 as well as blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Right. The other problem is, let's say you ship Nokogiri version 2 and it supports Ruby 3.4 and 4.0, but then Ruby 4.1 comes out. What do you do? So it can't use the binary version either, and you can't ship a new version of Nokogiri 2.0 that supports Ruby 4.1, so you're kind of stuck there. So we encounter this problem all the time with gRPC in our applications. Google will ship a gRPC version, and then whenever a new Ruby version comes out, we want to upgrade to the new Ruby version, but we can't because we got to wait for Google to ship binary versions of gRPC. That's a huge problem that we have to overcome.
Are there some directions you think the team that we can get around that then, or
yes?
Is it, what and because I feel like it's not that unlike, like, I guess if you're working on, like, say, a Red Hat operating system and you install your Red Hat packages or your Debian DB file packages, things like that, when you want to install things, and just kind of like the precompile versus compiling it yourself. And I know if you use like RBMV, historically it would basically download it and then compile it against your local thing, and you still had to make sure you had all the appropriate other dependencies you needed to install before that. So, which is why Homebrew can be really helpful, but it's trying to at least standardize that to some degree. But it sounds like still like kind of a complicated thing. Unless, are there different ways about how this stuff is approachable going forward where you can reduce that?
Well, I think
to do all that extra work.
Sure, we have a couple things in the pipeline at the moment. I mean, we got to tackle these problems one at a time, I think. And the first one I want to tackle is the multiple Ruby version issue. So,
no new version.
no new version. Great idea. Yes. I think this all boils down. It's very, very funny, but this all boils down to literally the name of the gem file itself. Like, it all boils down to that. And it's because Bundler and Ruby gems, I would say they overload the file name. So the file name has meaning to it. And that meaning is the platform that you're on. I think the first thing we need to do is get rid of that meaning. So I think that the file name should be meaningless. We can kind of call the file name like an address. So we address the gem by its name, its version, and then the platform. I think what we want to do is start addressing the gem by its content. So we should have content, like content addressable gems. So rather than, name dash version dash platform, it would just be name dash version dash like SHA. And the SHA is the SHA of the gem file itself. And if we do that, then we can say like, hey, like I'm going to package only Ruby 3.4 inside this one. And then I'll package Ruby 4.0 in this one. And then, maybe if 4.1 comes out, we do that one. And we're able to ship all these with different actual gem names. And they'll contain only the content required for that particular version of Ruby. So this is going to require some changes on rubygems.org side. So when you publish the gem, like it's going to have to calculate that SHA. Like if you take a look at the data that comes back from rubygems.org, like if you go say, like, tell me the versions you have, it's got a bunch of informational fields, like what it depends on, Ruby versions it depends on. And we can bake in like, hey, this one depends on Ruby version exactly 4.0. Get this particular one for your Ruby that you're on. So that solves that problem.
Sounds easy. I mean, do you feel like that's going to require much of a change from the end user perspective, like just a typical developer, or is that can all kind of fairly be seamless behind the scenes?
I think this is going to be something that's completely behind the scenes. Like you don't need to do anything. So presumably, the way we can do this is I made this proposal to the RubyGems team, rubygems.org team, and they seem to like it. So I think they're going to do it. We introduced like a V2 API on rubygems.org, and older clients will still hit the V1 APIs. Newer clients will hit the V2 APIs, and they'll just go download the new stuff. So hopefully you just like upgrade bundler and then it works.
Are there similar patterns we've seen in other programming languages or frameworks that kind of follow that approach, or is this kind of like Aaron's crazy wild-haired idea that we're going to be talking to somebody in 10 years from now and be like, what was Aaron thinking?
No, there's other ecosystems. I can't remember off the top of my head who else does this, but other folks absolutely do content addressable data as well. It's just, I mean, I think it's a really big thing in like the Nix world or something. I don't know, man. I'm not good at this stuff.
But I love the proposal though. Yeah. I'm curious about like how will this help or change how we think about containers in the future? Do you think like that's still going to be a useful construct for us to be working? Do you feel like everybody should be working in containers or have much of a thought on that?
I would tell you my thoughts on containers, but I gotta keep a lid on it.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
I withdraw the question. Editor, you can please just dismiss that.
I don't know. I mean, I think I like using containers. I don't know that this change will really impact containers at all, but should make building containers faster. But if you're deploying with containers, it's like probably doesn't matter anyway because you just made the container once. I think this is mostly like end user development for folks who are just getting started. Like I think that the new user experience is the thing I'm concerned with the most. Like if you're already building containers and you already have this deployment solution and you have teams that can figure out this stuff, I do, of course I care about you, but like, you have resources to put into this and we can support those use cases just fine. It's really like new user experience that I want to encourage. I think this new user experience helps keep the Ruby ecosystem and the Rails ecosystem running and going, and it should be like high priority for us.
Like if you're thinking about these people that have yet to ever build their first Rails app and they're trying to get started, and you have to start putting together this mental model and be like, all right, I need Ruby. What are my requirements to even install Ruby? Do I need to install Git? What is that? Like some of that gets preloaded on computers these days. Maybe even Ruby's already installed on I don't know. Does Ruby still get shipped on Apple, Mac OS?
It does, but it's an old version. It gives you a warning. It's like, don't use this. It's going to go away.
But it's here.
Yeah, it's here.
We're giving it to you. Who are these people that are using the provided Ruby version? Does it still include Rails anymore? I remember it did.
No, it used to. Yeah.
That was kind of a big deal at the time. Like, it comes shipped with Rails. Yeah. You're like, great, that's outdated. All right. But do you feel like there's other tooling that could optimize the overall experience of installing Ruby and Rails is like this one, is the dream like download or just run this one command and it handles those several steps really, really fast. And if you're that new developer that doesn't need to worry about, I already have 3 different versions of Ruby installed on this computer. I have 0 Ruby, I have 0 Rails or any bundler. I don't even know what that is yet.
I mean, hopefully. One thing that's really interesting to me is so at RubyKaigi, Matz gave a keynote, and his announcement was this thing he built called Spinel, and it is a Ruby compiler, like AOT compiler. So it could take Ruby code and produce a binary for you, and you could build portable binaries from Ruby. So imagine like, okay, we're able to build Ruby gems as a binary, or build bundler as a binary, or if we combine the two, like maybe put the two together, turn it into one tool, we could distribute just that. It's like, oh, okay, well now installing it just becomes download this package and you have it all, like you have it all already. You don't need to compile anything because we've pre-compiled everything for you. That's something I'm really looking forward to. It seems like a good, interesting future.
Do you think that's likely to be a thing that's shipped by the next version of Ruby, or is that even required? Is it a completely separate thing, or it doesn't need to be?
I think it's totally a totally separate thing. I need to dig into, like, I have to dig into the project more, because it's like it works with the project is Ruby, but he eliminated the hard parts. So like it doesn't support, for example, it doesn't support eval. So you can't do any metaprogramming. Well, you can do some metaprogramming. You can't do any metaprogramming that requires eval. But honestly, that's probably a fine restriction. Like I imagine you could build a Ruby gems or a bundler without those particular features, and then precompile that and give that binary to people, and it automatically bootstraps for them, right? Because it's really a bootstrapping problem we need to solve.
Do you feel like, from what you know, like is Matt's just scratching some personal itch there, or do you see like some interesting use cases like that? Or is this
I think Ruby gems and bundler are a perfect use case for something like this. There have been people out there for a long time who are like, I switched to Rust or whatever. I'm going to say Zig because I like Zig. Sure. I switched to Zig because I needed to build a command line tool, and I want to be able to distribute the command line tool. If you build a command line tool with Ruby, it's kind of a pain because anybody who wants to install it, they're going to have to install Ruby as well. And then, like, of course, it might depend on the version of Ruby that you're using. If you change Ruby to a different one, then it might mess it up and blah, 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 blah. So if we could distribute it, like have a system where we can start distributing Ruby code as executable binaries, I think that's like going to be awesome.
Kind of pivot back a little bit to, why do some Ruby gems tend to lean on native code in the first place?
2 reasons.
Can we just make Ruby faster?
Yeah, we can. I think I'll give you the two real reasons, and then like my cynical reason. So the two real reasons are, one is speed, which is like maybe could be debatable. The other one is they need to use a library that's implemented in a different language.
I see.
So those are the 2 real reasons, and then my cynical reason is because they don't know any better.
Well, they knew enough to do it. I mean, that's.
I mean, you can know enough to be dangerous, right?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Like I can learn enough Spanish to get myself in big trouble.
You know, earlier we touched on databases, and I don't know if I was kind of curious if you've ever got to do this. I don't know if you can do this in MySQL or not, but I come from a Postgres background where like a previous boss of mine wrote like an O'Reilly book for Postgres. And so I was kind of indoctrinated really early on in the early 2000s. But one of the things I thought was really cool about Postgres was that you could write basically custom functions or procedure type things in many languages, and you could do it with PHP. And there was even like a PL Ruby. You can write Ruby code and do fun experiments, like maybe I always think back to this stupid experiment that I had where I don't know, why am I talking right now about this? This is my interview with you, Aaron, but more importantly about me. But I thought it would be fun to experiment with the idea of like having a Postgres function that would then load up Ruby gems and then call Ruby gem methods on like some text, and then so that way if you did like a select red cloth, because that was like a textile thing back in the day, you could do that on a blob of text out code in your or in a field, and it would just return HTML in that. You could have just did this in Ruby, obviously.
Yeah.
But I like that you could do things like that. I knew enough to be dangerous and do silly stuff like that, and take Ruby places that it wouldn't normally belong. But yeah, I could have done that with C as well. All that to say is, people like to experiment as well. Do you recall any interesting experiments you've been able to do with Ruby, where you've used Ruby in a non-typical fashion just because you wanted to see if you could?
I mean, yes, I'm trying to think of which one to highlight.
I'm asking the person that gives all his keynotes are all like, look what I shouldn't have done that I did.
Yes. Actually, one I did was so SQLite has a API that lets you implement a virtual file system. So you can give it you can say like, hey, instead of using fopen or open and close and all those system calls, you give it function pointers, and it's like, okay, I'm going to call those instead of like the system ones. So what I did was I exposed that to Ruby. So every time SQLite wanted to open a file, it would call back into Ruby code and be like, hey, please open a file for me. I did two things with this. The first one was, you know how when you write a Ruby script, you can put under end at the bottom, and then and then you just have like data, like any kind of data that you want at the bottom of the file. So I made this script so it was self-contained, so it would store a database, like SQLite would store the database in
the file.
In the file, yes.
Okay.
Like you could run the program and there's no database file anywhere else. It's all just stored. It would modify itself and then like store all the data there. The other use case I did, I hate to say use case because that's like, there's got to be a better word. Like use case
abused.
Yeah, like use case implies that there's like use. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like utility.
Yeah.
This is more just to see if I could. The other case that I did was I wanted to store data in HTML tables. I got this idea from Chad Fowler. He's like, I think it would be cool if we had a database that stored all the data in tables. So like your table is a table tag.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Which column is this in?
Yeah, you got to look at the TR for the row and then your TD. Like, so I did that because I thought it would be fun. And yes, you can do those things. They're just not useful, I think.
Can we workshop this coining a term for this if we can't figure out? Can we make up one? Is this like a itch case?
Yes, edge case. Yeah, not a use case.
Itch case.
It's an edge case.
Itch case.
Itch case. Itch case. Yeah.
Scratching an itch case.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
It's short. It's only four letters.
Mm-hmm.
Itch case. There you go. All right. I'm going to go trademark that later. Itchcase.com. Can you tell us a little bit about what is FFI?
Yes.
Aaron?
Let's talk about FFI. One of my favorite favorite itch. Yes. This is a great transition since we're on the topic of native extensions. We should talk about FFI. This is kind of a long winding story, but since I work on a JIT compiler team, I really, 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 really want people to write their code in Ruby. And the reason I want that is because our JIT compiler can't speed up anything but Ruby. Like it can only speed up your Ruby code. It can't speed up native code at all because it doesn't understand it. So I really want people to write things in Ruby. But that said, like we were talking about legit use cases of native extensions. And one of those cases is like, hey, I got a library, SQLite, for example, and I want to call into that thing. So I'm going to write a C extension to do it. And you can do that. FFI is a library that allows us to call into C extensions without writing any C code.
Oh,
so okay. You describe to it in Ruby the function that you're going to call. Like you say, hey, I want to call a function named, I don't know, foo, and it's going to take an integer and it's going to return another integer. And you tell that to libFFI, and libFFI is like, great. Thanks for telling me. And then it sets up the call for you, and then you're able to make that call. Like you can call into it. So it does that like connection. It takes the Ruby side and the native side and it like connects them together. For all the podcast listeners, I'm putting my hands together like it's a connection.
They're interlocking.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're
connecting.
interlocking. They're connecting. And it's great. So what that means is you can write Ruby code, you write pure Ruby code, and then that pure Ruby code is able to execute native extension code. The problem though is it's very slow. So I've written many native extensions and I have not used FFI, and the reason is because it's slow. So when you make those calls, it's very slow. I gave a whole talk about why it's slow. So you should, I gave the talk in Japanese though, so maybe don't go watch it.
Yeah. There might be translations.
There might be translations, but there's many reasons why it's slow, but it's basically doing a lot of work. So one of the things we want to do, or I would really like to do, is I built a project that takes your FFI code. So you write in Ruby, and it generates a C extension from it. So it takes your Ruby code and then translates it to C. And then we compile the C extension, and all of a sudden your code is faster because it's a C extension. That's nice, except that we're back in C extension land, which I said I don't want C extensions. I want you to write.
Yeah.
I don't want you to write Ruby code. But you did write Ruby code. You wrote Ruby code and then you got C code out, like it turned into C code. Where this fits with the JIT compiler though is I made it so that when it converts it to C code, the C code includes hints that the JIT compiler knows how to read. So when the JIT compiler comes in and starts compiling these functions, it's saying, hey, we're going to do a new SQLite database. It reads the hints that are inside of the C extension, and it uses those hints to generate its own function calls. And then it doesn't use the C extension anymore.
Explain that to me again.
It's a very, very magic. It is a very, very magic trick.
Okay.
So
that makes more sense.
So typically you call from...
What does a hint look like?
A hint? Yeah. The hint is just some metadata. It's like, It's literally just like, oh, the function is named foo. It takes an int. It returns another int. So the reason we want to do this is because I'm going to throw some terminology at you, but I'll explain it. We want to be doing boxing and unboxing of values inside of the JIT compiler. Boxing and unboxing, what that means is taking a Ruby integer, for example, and converting that into a C integer. So that would be unboxing it. Mm-hmm. And then taking the C integer and converting that into a Ruby integer, that would be boxing it. So we want the JIT compiler to be in charge of doing all that type translation. The reason we want to do that is because we're able to profile and specialize all the machine code that we generate to those types. The issue with the C extension is it's totally opaque. We don't know what types it's going to take and what types it's going to return and what it's going to do with that stuff. So that's the problem with C extensions and JIT compilers. This idea here solves the issue.
Can you think of some scenarios where a typical Rails developer might feel like they would want to take advantage of FFI and these tools?
Only if you're writing gems. Just like writing thread.new or fiber.new, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah. Okay. So if you're writing a gem.
Yep.
When developers are working on gems, what are some things that you wish that if anyone out if they're listening, they've never released a gem or even written one, what are a few tips that you would recommend before they were to do that? When do you think it even is appropriate to have a gem versus just having something in your Rails app?
Boy, I don't know. I think that's like a really tough question, especially these days with like LLMs and stuff. Because you could just be like, yo, Claude, make a thing for me, right? And we can all just do that. Like, I don't need your gem. I can just be like, Claude, I need you to
integrate with this third party.
Yeah, do this thing. So it's getting to be like I guess kind of a tougher question to answer these days. Because I think before AI, I'd be like, okay, anything that doesn't have to do with your actually, I think some of these answers even apply to AI. If it doesn't have to do with your core business, like, I don't know, if you do a third party API integration, since it's not really part of your core business, that's something you probably ought to pull out into a gem. And it's not necessarily about being a gem in terms of being like open source or whatever. It's more about like architecting your application such that it's more maintainable. Because like if you're integrating with this third party, like maybe you want to run tests on it independently of your main application. Maybe you need to add new features and iterate on that, and you don't have to iterate on it in tandem with your main app. So that's like the main reason to put things in libraries versus just keep it inside of your application. Whether or not you choose to open source it, though, that's like, different question, I guess.
Yeah. I think about that, the scenario where with AI and LLMs now that you could have it or collaborate with it, have it generate a client interface to some API or something. And like, there's probably pros and cons to even doing that. Or no, are you, out of curiosity, using these AI and LLMs tooling much in your work?
Dude, every day. Oh my God, all the time. Yes. Yes.
What types of scenarios do you find it to be? I mean, we're recording this, it's second half of May 2026. So I know that by the time this gets published, like the whole world could be drastically different.
Yes.
And like, but where do you find it to be really, really helpful for you right now?
That's a great question. I'll share some helpful stuff and then maybe not so helpful stuff. I really, really like it for searching through code that I don't understand or I've never seen before. Working at a company with thousands of developers, we've got a lot of huge apps that I've never seen, and I need to hop into, like, due to the nature of my work, I need to be able to hop into it and figure out what the heck is going on. And I'll tell you, AI is just the bee's knees for doing work like that. Really, really enjoy it. I love using it for hobby projects. I built I need to release this as an open source gem. Well, I've built several things. I built a JPEG encoder with it, which was very cool. And it's because I got these signs. Okay, sorry, we're gonna go. Sure. We're gonna.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, you won't be able to see this on the podcast, but I got these things here, these little displays. You see that?
Yeah.
So I've got these little mini displays, and funny enough, you have to like, you can say like, they have a web API, basically, like a HTTP API, but you have to post JPEGs to them.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, okay, sure. But I want to programmatically generate JPEGs, right? Like I want to make the JPEG, like I want to make stuff and then post it to the thing. So there weren't any JPEG libraries. So I had Claudio make one for me and then posted that there. So I really like it for that. I also made a printer. I bought a printer, and it's just like a little photo printer, right?
Sure.
And I want to print JPEGs or I want to send images to it. But I was worried that like when I do print on, like for preview, whatever, I was worried that it's doing some processing on the image before it sends it to the printer. Yeah, I'm like, is this changing my colors? Because like I look at the photo and it like doesn't look as good as the monitor.
Sure.
And it turns out like the real reason is because I need an ICC calibration file for the thing. I'm getting in way too deep here, okay? But I built a little, like I had Claude build a little like printer thing for me so it would connect to the printer and then upload the JPEG, and I know that there's no like
it's gonna match.
Yeah, nobody's doing like the data that was on my computer is the same. It's the same data that got sent over the socket to the printer. So I love it for that stuff.
Yep. And are the photos coming out a lot more consistent now, or is it just
no?
It's just, it looks so much better on my screen, but why doesn't it look like that on my on this piece of paper?
I'll tell you the reason. The reason is because the dynamic range on the printer is shit, and I have to. What I have to do is no, I'm not going to do that. What I have to do is I have to map the colors to the ones that the printer can actually support. So that's the problem.
So you'll just fine tune it on your processing process,
yes.
and then then it'll match.
Yeah. I'll tell you the thing I don't like about AI is we're going to get into, I told you I'd get into that.
Yeah, you did.
I'm worried that like, I kind of want to write a blog post about this, but I haven't like fully 100% formed my thoughts on it. Is that like, if you and I are working together, we're both on the same team, we're working together. And like, when we first start working together, you're sending PRs, I'm going to be reviewing your PRs very carefully. And after a while, though, I kind of get to know you and I know your work. And depending on your work or whatever, I might review your PRs less and less because I'm like, well, Robby
That's
knows. Yeah, Robby knows what's up. Like, hey, I trust his work. Ship it. And I think that like we can fall. I have personally fallen into this trap with AI, where it's like, hey, I did a thing. Like I asked it to do a thing. I reviewed it very carefully. It did the right thing. Great. Do it again. Did the right thing. Great. So eventually I start reviewing it less and less. And then you fall into this trap where it generated some shit and you didn't realize it. So like, I don't know how to like
reconcile.
Yeah. Like, how do you reconcile that exactly? Like you cannot treat it like a human. It is not, but like it is close. Like it's close enough to trick you into thinking it can do a good job. But in some cases it just can't. And there's no signal.
Yeah. You can't really apply build up that same sort of like long-term confidence in your agents, your AI friend.
Yeah.
And as you can with humans. To be fair, I mean, I've also worked with humans where their code has deteriorated over time because they didn't care as much as they used to, or they're on the way out of a job or something. But those were less frequent, I think.
Also, I mean, in that case too, you're able to talk to the person and you can find out like what the context is. Yeah, like what's going on with that. Whereas like it seems, I don't know for sure, but it seems like the like shit rate is basically random when it comes to an AI. So you don't know necessarily. It's like Claude's not going to be like, oh, I'm hungover.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
oops, my bad.
Yeah. It's gonna be just as confident on every single time you ask it to do something. It's like, oh yeah, I totally did it for sure. Yeah.
Do you have? I know that one of the things I hadn't thought to bring this up, but I know that like when it comes to dealing with open source in particular, so you're involved in several open source projects and a gatekeeper in a lot of ways. And I mean that in the best sense. You're not a gatekeeper. Someone's going to clip this. Oh no, TikTok, it's coming for me. Aaron gatekeeps everybody.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure people might accuse people on Ruby or Rails core for that as well. But aside from that, when it comes to protecting especially with like security concerns, like people might have about, I think you had posted not that long ago that you're getting PRs from people that might be security type situations, and they may or may not even fully understand what they're submitting a PR for, but they used an AI tool to help them try to contribute. As someone that works on open source projects as well, like that's an interesting challenge where it's like, well, how do we navigate, because there's like more of a flood of them at times, more PR volume, and then like the security ones tend to catch our attention the most because especially if they write your security email address or whatever your team might have set up, be like, hey, this is a thing, do we need, because it requires you to have a conversation, is this real or not? And I mean, if anyone listening, if you wanted to like disrupt an open source project, start hitting their security thing with like seemingly realistic security threats, they're going to get bogged down in just dealing with that, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a great way to do a denial of service attack on an open source team. Yeah,
I'm done. I don't want to look at any of this stuff. So please don't do that, everybody. But how do you navigate that?
The very first thing, like I mentioned this on, I mentioned this on my blog. Yeah, I made a short blog post about this. It's like, so on the Rails security team, we were working with the IBB, or the Internet Bug Bounty.
Yeah.
What they would do is like they worked with different open source teams to pay bounties to security reporters, and then like it was fun. I mentioned like I wasn't sure about this program from the start, because like when you start paying bug bounties, of course there's going to be people out there who are like, whoa, I want some free money, right? So they're going to start sending, I don't know, crap, basically. And then, but they dealt with that at first. This was before the AI era.
Yeah.
The other issue we would run into is like people who haggle, because like the IBB would pay more depending on the severity of the bug. So if it's more severe, they would pay more. So then you get people who are like, oh, this bug that like, oh my God, the ones that I hated the most were like, if I write this control character to your terminal, like if it comes through your logger and it shows up in this terminal that hasn't been updated since 1996, it could possibly overwrite some characters. So then I'm able to hide stuff that's in the logs. And I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, this is obviously most critical bug that there is. And you're like, no, please. This is like not a critical bug, please. But people would haggle over that. But then when AI came around, they're like, like we just get this flood of like low effort security issues because they could get free money basically.
Yeah.
So the very first thing that they like IBB did was just shut off bounties. So they stopped paying bounties. And like, I gotta tell you, that really decreased the number of security reports that we get.
There's your solution. Just don't solicit them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that's not.
It's not a good solution because like I really want security researchers to get paid, right?
Yeah.
But like, this is apparently not the way to do it. I mean, of course, we also started using AI to process reports. I know people have asked that. It's like, did you use AI to process them? We did. We do. Still do. I don't know. I don't have a good solution for it. I mean, it just feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation. So,
have you seen much of an increase in just general PR contributions to the tools that you work on?
I mean, we get a lot of AI contributions. To be honest, like people sending normal PRs using AI, like I don't really have a problem with that. That's fine. I think that's like whatever. More power to you. You did the thing, like you wanted a feature, you used whatever. I keep saying Claude. Claude's my favorite one, but I know there are others, but you use Claude to do it, seems good. Whatever. So I kind of like that.
Do you ask that they disclose that, or is that even really that important to you?
It's not really. Is it important to me? I don't think it's important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because like when the PR comes in, it's if we accept the PR, it's now on us to maintain it. Like we can't ask anything from you, right? It doesn't really have any impact per se.
Sure, I appreciate that take. I think I've definitely talked to people across a lot of different. Fall very differently on the spectrum. Do you feel like that would have been very different of a response 6 months ago from you?
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't really think about it. Don't really think about it that much. Where it really does impact me is like I don't care how other people use AI, but I care very deeply about how I personally use AI. Like I need to understand the code. I found like after that one experience with AI effing up real bad, I'm like, all right, sorry, bud. You're now regulated or relegated to like, stuff that I just don't want to do.
Which some might argue those could be the things that need the most attention.
Sure.
Though, Aaron.
Yes. But the main thing is like, I personally need to understand every single line of code that is coming out of this thing. Like if I submit a patch, I need to understand all of it, because I need to be able to defend it and explain it. And like, I ask that of people who send PRs to me, like I'm going to ask questions about it. And if they can't answer the questions, it's probably not going to like the PR is not going to land, Yeah. But there's no judgment about whether or not they used AI. Like if you used AI and you understand everything it did, great.
But it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting, it's been an interesting thing, I think, navigating the last several months. And I don't know where everybody's going to fall on this. Like, for some of the projects that I've been involved in, like it became the fact that we even said like you can maybe disclose it. Like some people are like, I don't want to use your tool anymore because you're allowing AI to infect it. And I'm like,
oh my God.
But it's all the spectrums of, and everybody's.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna make it like nobody's gonna be happy. So like, remember when Copilot first came around? It was like very very much intelligent tab completion. It's like,
Hmm.
well, is that? I mean,
Yeah, that's my example. I've always been like, well, how do I know where does AI stop and start in some of the tooling that we're using? And it's just, is this an editor tool?
yeah,
If I'm just passing a GitHub issue, I'm like, hey, can you just submit me a PR for this? You can have it do that as well. You should probably review it. But then some people will be like, well, I just have another bot review the PR, and if it approves it, then great, we'll just ship stuff that way. And like, there are people trying to figure out how to make that work with their organizations. And
yeah.
I don't-
That part seems a little bit like somewhat risky to me at the moment. I'm kind of worried we'll get into a situation where it's like bots reviewing bots, and then like we're gonna end up with a giant mess. It's gonna be. I think what we'll have is we'll have another like oh, what is it like? A bunch of, you remember there were like tons of software patterns coming out of like 90s and early 2000s where it's like, okay, design patterns, and then
Mhm.
we have like all these names for things like the giant ball of mud and like all those different names. I think we're gonna have like, there's gonna be a new generation of shit code that's generated by AIs, and we're gonna have names for those things too.
We'll have to work on another episode where we can work on brainstorming names for these patterns, and that could be fun.
Yeah, like because like there's got to be a way to differentiate between a giant ball of mud that was human made, like a man made one, versus an AI made one. So funny
Yeah.
I say man made now because like that's not typically good, but now you said like a human
It's
made.
not typically how mud is usually
yeah,
made either.
yeah. I've never made. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
Have you made?
I've made
I guess
mud.
I've made mud.
Yeah,
I poured water in dirt.
yeah.
I guess so.
I did that the other day. I was watering the garden.
Are we artificially creating mud?
Yes.
Are we? Is that? Oh, I guess we are part of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Where? Let's get into the weeds on this one.
Mm-hmm.
When I've kept you long enough, Aaron, but a couple of quick questions for you. What areas of Ruby on Rails right now are you most excited about?
What areas?
Specifically within the Rails framework itself.
Oh my gosh. This is a tough question for me. My favorite things are all like low level stuff. Like I can't give you any good high level things, but one of the things I'm excited about is looking into router performance. That is very interesting to me and something that I've been poking at lately. So I'm hoping that we can ship some performance improvements to the Rails router. But again, it's like stuff you don't know. Like just upgrade and then you get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just the magic stuff.
Yeah.
Are you involved at all, or see murmurs of like those that are working on things like more tooling within Rails that will be useful with LLM tools?
Yeah, I
like
think
Rails query, I think, was a new thing that just got released, or
Rails
maybe
query, RubyDex is very cool, but I know it's not Rails, like it's not Rails specific. I really love the AI tooling that folks are coming up with. Like anything that can help folks like get in and get developing on the application is very, very interesting and fun to me. I'm hoping that we get more features integrated, like Marco Roth. Like his stuff is so amazing. I want more of that stuff built into Rails. So
is that Herb?
Yeah, Herb is very, very cool, extremely cool technology. I'm a huge fan. So
I'm with you on that one as well. I'm curious, Aaron, is there a part of Rails that you think the typical Ruby on Rails developer would benefit from going to look at the source code, acclimating themselves? Like,
good question. Like I say, good question a lot. Maybe I should say bad. That was immediately
a bad question. I felt actually you meant that it was a bad question.
No, it's a good question. I just feel like I'm saying that a lot.
Give them a homework assignment.
Yeah, dude, figure it out yourself. No,
okay.
I think like it depends on what you're interested in. So like, are you interested in the database? You should dive into Active Record stuff. Are you interested in Vue stuff? You should dive into Action Vue, also Action Controller. It really depends on what you're interested in. One of the things I did, like when I first got started looking at Rails internals, is like, I'd be like, okay, how does link to work? Like how? And then I just went and read the source code for it. I am jealous of people getting started today, like mainly because of AI stuff. Like, can you imagine? You're like, hey, I would like to get started understanding how Rails internals work. You could just go into Rails itself with Claude or whoever and be like, tell me how Link 2 works. And then it's gonna walk you through the freaking code. Incredible.
You could probably have it build a little tutorial that's custom tailored to your way of learning and learning things as well. And that could be kind of exciting.
Like me, I had to do the slow path. I'm like, how is this? Where is this defined? Where do I find
follow
this?
The method.
Yeah.
Follow the method. Follow the thing. And like, okay, goes to this, and this other method missing thing, or what is this thing?
Yes.
What does that even mean?
And today you got like a little buddy that's gonna walk through it with you. So I like that.
Hold your hand.
Yeah.
Do you have a technical book that you find yourself recommending recently to peers?
I do. I'm very glad that you asked this question. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to. I think I can tell people there's a new book.
Oh.
Well, not new. I recommend Ruby Under a Microscope. Pat is working on an update to it, like a V2, and I know this because I'm doing the technical review for it.
Oh.
So I recommend that book when it comes out. I think they're going to be putting in, it may already be in like a preview or whatever, so you can like read chapters from it and stuff. But I really recommend it because I think it is the best introduction to Ruby internals that you can get. Well, not even introduction. It's intro plus intermediate, probably advanced stuff too. Also, I'm reviewing it, so
it's going to be excellent.
Yes, it's got to be.
He's full of itches.
Yes.
So Ruby Under a Microscope, and that's by, how do you pronounce his last name?
Pat Shaughnessy, I think.
Shaughnessy,
I think.
Who's publishing that? Is that self-published?
No. I think it's No Starch. I'm not sure.
Okay. I'll definitely include links to that in the show notes where people can check on that and find out when the next new version's coming.
I have a second one. If you're interested in, okay, I have a second one. This one's very, very advanced.
We're out of time, Aaron.
Oh shoot. Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
I have a second one, but this one's very advanced. So if you want to learn about JIT compilers or any compilers, I recommend a book called Engineering a Compiler. And it's very good. It's got a lot of the techniques that we use in ZJIT in it. So if you want to learn how it works, there you go.
Excellent. I'll definitely include links to both of those books in the show notes for our listeners. And where can listeners best follow your thoughts and ruminations about Ruby, Rails, and software engineering online?
You can follow me on Blue Sky, at Tenderlove. Also, I'm trying to make more blog posts at tenderlovemaking.com.
Excellent. I'll include links for all that as well. And with that, thank you so much for stopping by to talk shop with us, Aaron.
Yes. Thank you, Robby. It was a pleasure.
It's been such a delight to get to see you, and hopefully get to see you again at an upcoming conference or something.
Yes, of course.
That's it for this episode of On Rails. This podcast is produced by the Rails Foundation with support from its core and contributing members. If you enjoyed the ride, leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. It helps more folks find the show. Again, I'm Robby Russell. Thanks for riding along. See you next time.